I take immense pleasure in introducing the speaker for today. I humbly welcome Yogacharini, Dr. Sangeeta Biagi. She is the founder of Soundsoul, Italy, the director of studies and research, Gitananda Yoga, ICYER at Ananda Ashram, India, Italy, as well as the online. And she is a guest faculty at the School of Music Therapy, ISCM. She is also a certified voice coach. Ma'am has various publications, and I would like to introduce two of them today. One book which is written along with our director, Professor Ananda Yoga sir, titled Saraswati's Pearls, Dialogues on the Yoga of Sound, which was also published in Italian in the year 2021. Are you still able to see my screen? There was a sign off. Yes. And the second book that I would like to say is La Voce Arcana. I hope I am pronouncing it correctly. Journey to self-discovery through the major arcana of the tarot. And it is also noteworthy to mention that a documentary film made by ma'am, The Girl Inside, was nominated for an Emmy Award. So I humbly invite you, ma'am. Thank you for being here today. And the stage is yours now. I will stop sharing and you can start sharing your screen.
Thank you very much, Professor Janita. I'm very delighted to be here. And a great thank you, all of you, therapy, the School of Yoga Therapy, both staff of the Institute of Salutogenesis and Complementary Medicine, as well as all the faculty and esteemed speaker who are part of this faculty development. It is with great joy that I share some of my research and practice with Gitananda Nada Yoga. So I will share my presentation here. And let me know if you can see it. One moment, please. Yes? Yes, can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So managing stress with vocal sound. So when I was invited as part of this wonderful group of people to talk, was a basic understanding of the influence of music on stress management. And because of my passion for the human voice, I decided to focus on how the voice is both an instrument to express our thoughts and emotion, as well as a mirror of our identity. And I decided that perhaps this talk could be focusing more on the therapists themselves, on the professors and on the healthcare providers, because our previous two excellent talks were mostly focusing on the relationship with the patient, with the client, with the student. And I thought that perhaps today it could be a good break, a good change to focus on you who are in the trenches working with the patients, you, the faculty, the administrators who always have to make sure everything is running smoothly. And sometimes between our personal demands, family life or personal life, and the pressure of keeping the institute running, we may not have enough space, enough time to take care of the self. So today's lecture is focused on you, the providers. And there's very much to say, of course, about sound, about the voice, but I would like to focus on these three main points: how to listen deeply, how to breathe properly, and how to give voice to our deepest desires, objectives, and also feelings. So let's go through it in a step-by-step manner. First thing to say is that the Gitananda tradition never truly gave the title Gitananda Nada Yoga. This is something that Dr. Nanda Palayogi Bhavanani, who is my guru, Yogacharini, as well as the director of the institute, of course, And I decided to coin, is a new term, Gitananda Nada Yoga, just to make teaching online, that the tradition comes from the parampara of Yoga Maharishi, Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri. Swamiji himself never coined the term Gitananda Nada Yoga, so just to be clear. So this tradition, because we are going to talk about yoga today, is a tradition that brings together harmoniously the Bengalic Tantric and the Southern India Shaiva Siddhanta Tantric traditions, and especially focuses on the art and science of mantra, yantra, and tantra, which are three massive terms that each single one would require more than one incarnation to delve into. So we'll do, hope to do justice today in just introducing them briefly for those of you who have not been in contact with them yet. But what's very special about this tradition, of course, as you know from the work at the School of Music Therapy and Yoga Therapy and the Institute, is that there's a modern scientific study, research on how these esoteric spiritual traditions have always been, in fact, a system of psychosomatic and somatopsychic balance. So when we talk about salutogenesis, how to create the proper context, the proper terroir, we say, in gastronomy, how to create an earth, like a field of health that we can tap into as we go along in our day-to-day life. This is where traditional studies in yoga, as well as their scientific medical application, truly come together. What is really wonderful about Nada Yoga, of course, is that it's a perfect bridge between yoga therapy and music therapy, because of course it's yoga. So the goal is union, is health, is a holistic approach and attitude to life. And also it's about sound. It's about the vibration of Nada, which involves, as we will see, all bodies of the human being, from the physical expressed voice, how we make sound, the impact it has on our emotions, the impact it has on our mind health, mental health, and then beyond, how it can connect us to wisdom and also to a state of bliss, hopefully, which is obviously the full integration of all these be rooted in oneself, swastikam. Health also, in English, it's an old German word, also implies a state of union of different experiences of the human being. So health, whole, healing, holistic, all share the same root. Okay, so both in the Sanskrit, swast, and in the German and English, health, we have this need. It's imperative that we understand all of the different bodies that we inhabit and how they can come together harmoniously. So we would like to thank, personally, I would like to thank the gurus of this parampara, particularly Yoga Maharishi, Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri, Guru Maharaj, Puja Puduvai Kalaimamani, Puduvai Shakti, Yogacharini Amaji, Meenakshi Bhavanani, and Yogacharya Dr. Ananda Bhavanani. The core concepts of yoga relate to health and to the health, of course, system, is that yoga is conscious living.
Dr.
It's a way of
Sangeeta?
life. So as we, yes?
Your voice is going off, on and off, breaking. So if you could just check on the internet.
Yes, I'll do my best. The connection is on, so I'll just do my best to maybe go a little bit slower, if that's okay with you. Maybe I'll go a little bit slower. Yeah, it's, sorry about that. So yoga is a conscious way of life. So in thinking about health, of course, we need to take care of our own health. Therapists, as music therapists, what is truly important is first that we take care of the self. And of course, that's very difficult. And the full lecture could be about that, in fact. How to remain aware of how unaware we are when distress occurs. Can you hear me now? Am I still breaking? Can Professor Janita, or you can let me know?
No, you're okay, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So if the voice breaks for a long period of time, you can interrupt me and ask me to repeat, and I'll do that. Thank you. And so how do we remain aware of the state of our health? First of all, we need to take responsibility for our own well-being. This is very important, especially under pressure. We must not lose track of how important that is. So we will talk about how listening, breathing, and a few simple voice exercises can offer a very quick and actually immediate restoration for that. So we will talk about that. Of course, there's great breath, emphasis on pranayama and breath. It's a step-by-step approach. So today also we will have a step-by-step approach. There is respect, love, interest for Indian culture, many practices, and then, as we said, yantra, mudras, mantra, tantra, all of the practices are there. Just to make clear that we understand what type of yoga we are referring to here, which is not the westernized and then re-imported concept of yoga as just fitness. This is much more than that. So to begin in talking about how the yoga therapist, how the music therapist can take care of themselves, it's of course important to review this concept of the koshas. So in the koshas, we are made of a cellular body, a physical body, an energetic body, a mental body, and then, of course, a body of wisdom and the body of bliss. You know this very well as therapists, that when you meet any person that you are practicing your skills with, whether it's a family member, a friend, a patient, a client, you know that you're meeting them at the somatic level. They have a pain, they have trouble, they have something that they immediately are able to express to you. Or maybe not able to express, but that you know they are in needing of support. Very likely the physical body will show signs of their mental state, of their emotional state. So we always begin with the physical body, observing the physical body. It's a very fine skill. And then, of course, working also with their mental body. And the body of wisdom and bliss, we will not talk about too much today. But those are also extremely important, so that health and well-being have all of these dimensions at all times. So when it comes to the voice, when we look at the system, we have the Annamaya Kosha system, the body, the physical body. Express sound is how we, first of all, take care of our own health by observing our voice. So how is your voice? How is your voice? Can people hear you when you speak? Are you speaking too fast? Are you speaking too slow? Are you listening to yourself? Are you making the best choices of words? And so on. So the first observation is the observation of your expressed voice. The timbre, the quality, the breath capacity. Yes? Okay. The timbre, the voice, the breath quality are all there for us to observe. Observing the quality of our voice is an indication of how our voice is doing, but also how our mental space is. You know very well, you can listen to someone's voice over the phone and immediately know how they're doing. Now, this is also true, of course, once you get into a rapport with your students or with your patients or with your clients, you can tell, no matter the type of articulation that they may be able to have, even non-verbal sounds, even the non-verbal sounds are expressed sounds. Just how someone breathes, how someone laughs. Okay, so in listening to yourself, begin to observe the quality of your own voice. Are you speaking too fast, or are you unable to express yourself? Or maybe when you express yourself, you notice that your voice isn't coming out. Or that as soon as you try to express something, you may feel oppressed or break into tears. So begin to observe the quality of the voice. Then you can begin to notice also the energy in the voice. So we'll talk about that. So what kind of prana, what kind of energy is in the voice? Is the voice flat? Is the voice strong? Is the voice resonant? Is the voice very thin? It is important, according to the teachings of Nada Yoga, a very ancient system, of course, of practices and principles. Voice is prana made audible. Okay, so our voice is not independent from our breath. And our breath is completely connected to the prana, the energy that we can accumulate and then employ. So as a therapist, you will need to know how to recharge the pranic batteries. Or in non-yogic terminology, how to recharge your batteries. You will need to know how to do that. That's what I really hope that this lecture will give you some ideas on how to do this fairly quickly with a few practices. The voice, therefore, presence of your energy. And the voice, whether you use it to teach, to speak with a client or a patient, to sing to them, to breathe with them, to play an instrument, like a mouth harp or any other instrument, the didgeridoo, for example, right? You will need to have not only the breath capacity, but a specific quality of energy. Okay? Then, of course, the voice is the inner voice as well. The inner voice as well. What are you thinking? How are you preparing for your session? What is your intention? When you're running from one client or one meeting to another and so on, the intention may be lost. You may just go from one thing, we may just go from one to the next, running out of breath, running out of prana, consuming too much, and therefore losing the intention. So we will talk about how distress is very cunning, because distress will make you lose your intention, will make you lose sight of your sankalpa, of the reason why you are in this field and why you are doing this work. If we lose the connection with the intention, then the energy is going to be sapped. Okay, so we'll mention that in a moment, but I'm just giving you a little bit of an overview. Of course, the wisdom of our thoughts, words, and deeds is there. And then ultimately, we want to create inside of us a quality of silence, of anahatana, inside of us, so that we can talk, we can operate in the world, we can teach, we can be active. But inside, there's always going to be this very special place where we can rest, a silence inside, where we can recharge. And this it's a step-by-step approach, but by practicing. And there were fantastic presentations last week and the week before where we learned the power that the swaras have, or music in general, intentional music, or playing an instrument. When we play the instrument or sing the swaras or play music, we tap into that silence within that is full of prana. Okay, so going on. So the first important aspect for us is to remember the awareness of the perception of outer and inner sounds transforms the physiological sense of hearing into conscious listening. Conscious listening is a tool to calm the body, emotions, and mind, and to gain self-knowledge. I'm not sure so much about each person attending today, but I would like to ask you a question that maybe you can insert in the chat. In terms of self-knowledge, sharing your skills in the fields of music therapy and yoga therapy, or one or the other. They're really connected actually, but still. So in terms of self-knowledge, what is the reason why you chose to be in the field that you're now in? If you can type that in the chat. Why did you choose to be in music therapy or yoga therapy? Let's take a moment and let me know. Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Matani. Bring the effect of music on others. Yes. It feels like my last puzzle to understand myself. How beautiful. Mm-hmm. Right, so other people, if you like, you can continue on to add there. So feel a feeling of calm, and all of these aspects that we brought about and we brought up over the last two conversations we had together. So this self-knowledge, what you learn about yourself when making music, is most likely what other people will want to also experience. In yoga, this experience of calm is called in many different ways, but one of them is a sukha sthana, to feel at ease. Of course, someone who is coming to you as a therapist, as a client or a patient, is probably not at ease. He's experiencing a form of disease. And so your being at ease with yourself is of the greatest importance, because otherwise, ultimately, you're not going to be able to give them what they need. You may give them, yes, of course, you can give them therapy, you can keep them company, you can help them cope with fear, with pain, of course. But at a very subtle level, really, what humans desire from each other is love. And so the way that you're able to love yourself and take care of yourself will impact the success of your therapy. Okay, so this is really important, and this is what yoga teaches us. So the thoughts we have inside in our head, especially when dealing with stress or dealing with our own troubles as therapists, dealing with our own confused mind, or just tiredness, it's just sometimes we're just tired. Now, these thoughts inside can become a story that we either decide to nourish or not. So when we feel tired or when we feel not at ease as therapists, there can be a story that latches onto that. Oh, I'm tired because of this problem, and then if my mother did this, and my mother-in-law, and my son, and my sister, and my dog, and my guru, whatever is the case, the story is what creates story. Now, of course, it's really important to address the story. If there's a problem, if there's some sort of aggression in the workplace or problem in the workplace or in the home, it needs to be addressed. Peer pressure, anything. However, most of us leave the story unattended. So we don't deal with it, but we also don't silence it. We just let it go on and on and on. And the stories we have in our heads create noise. And the noise is exhausting. Okay? So this, of course, are teachings that are quite ancient. First of all, the word stress itself comes from the Latin, strictus, which means to feel tight. It's a very terrible, strictus means tight, suffocating, constricted. Exactly what happens when we experience stress and our blood vessels constrict, our heart constricts, everything feels tight. So that's the meaning of stress. In this field, we know the difference between good stress, eustress, versus distress. So from now on, when we talk about stress, we're talking about distress. We know from the work of Dr. Ananda Ji and Dr. Antonovsky, we know the difference between eustress and distress. We also know that oftentimes the attitude, together with other things, but the attitude towards the stressor makes a huge difference in how we cope with the stress itself. Of course, this is an ancient wisdom. Yoga Sutra, Maharishi Patanjali, you probably hear this quote over and over again. Yoga has chitta vritti nirodha. Why does Maharishi Patanjali commences the Yoga Sutra, this is the second, of course, sutra, with a reflection of the vibration of our thoughts, memories, dreams, of course, all of that. It's equal to noise inside. There's this noise. The vritti create this internal noise. And just like when you are surrounded, just like when we are surrounded by noise, after a while, we feel really tired. Did you notice, right? That's why people take vacation, or people hopefully are able to build homes or live in nature. Because human noise is exhausting. The human noise of the outer world corresponds to inner noise. The more agitated we are, the more we follow our greed and desires and cravings outside, the more noise there is inside. You, as a teacher, need to become aware of the amount of noise that you choose to have in your inner world. Also, the amount of noise that you decide to have by, accessing social media, watching TV. Like, okay, so a certain amount of noise, just like a certain amount of stress, is normal. We need that. We need the vritti in our mind to be efficient in society. This is okay. And we need tonus, we need stress, eustress to go on. The problem is when this becomes too much. too much. Okay, so become aware. First management tip for stress is become aware of how unaware you are. This is what our Amaji here keeps reminding us. The first path, the first strategy to be, just one second, just noticing some, just taking the audio off of some of the mics, because 1 minute. If you could turn off all of your mics, that would be great. Okay, so the first step, as I was saying, is to become quiet. Learning how to become quiet. How do we do that? We need to learn how to listen. We need to learn how to listen. So let's begin with the practical. How do we listen? You know that you listen, through the outer ear and through the inner ear. Now the outer ear perceives the sounds from the external environment. Your inner ear transforms. But there's more. There's the way that you are able to listen through your bones, through bone conduction. Okay, so this will be important later when we talk about humming. But for now, you can listen to sounds outside of you. So for example, you can listen to your breath. You may also be able to perceive, to hear the sound of your heart beating. Then we travel inside. We travel inside and we begin to hear the sounds and listen to the sounds of your inner voice and learn how to catch it. Learn how to catch these inner voices and not giving them the full stage, not letting them be on stage. If you ask people, are you able to stop your inner voice? Most people will not be able to. It's very difficult, very difficult. So let's do a practice together. Let me also check with the faculty here. Are you able to hear me? Is the voice clear? Is it still breaking? How are we doing? Because I don't see people's faces, so I don't know.
We are able to hear you, ma'am. Once in a while there is a break, but otherwise it's okay.
If I speak with this really slow speed, it should be okay?
Yes, and you're repeating your questions, so that's helping.
Okay. And then also, maybe the very slow speed will put everybody to sleep after lunch. It's okay. They can all watch the recording later, I guess. Okay. You are here. That's comforting. Thank you. Also, I see our beloved Yogacharini Devasena. Namaste. Tejasvi. Namaste. Okay. Okay, let's continue on. All right. So let's do a practice from Nada Yoga in the tradition, in the parampara of Swami Gitananda Nada. It's called the Shabda Pratyahara. This is a very sophisticated practice, actually, quite advanced, but we can simplify it so that you listen, learn how to listen, even as you're walking from the school to the ward or from the ward back to the dorm. So you can really just refresh, rejuvenate. The goal of the practice is to rejuvenate your mind. You all probably know somebody's microphone. Okay, let me check. Are you able to see which mic is on? No. Here it is. Talking about noise. So let's practice this together. Take a moment to close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and notice, excuse me, notice if you are holding any unnecessary tension anywhere, in your eyes, in your jaw, if you're holding tension in your mouth, maybe the shoulders, chest. This is a moment for you to take care of you. So use it. Take a deep breath in and out. Relax your eyes. Relax your tummy in your hands. Inhale and exhale and connect to the sound of your heartbeat. You may be able to hear it, or maybe you can feel it in your temples, or you can feel it in your wrists. Inhale and exhale with equal measures. For example, inhaling 4, exhaling 4, or 6 by 6. And plunge inside of yourself. Connect with the heart. Again, relax your brain fully. Relax your prefrontal cortex. Relax the pattern of thinking. All of the projections on drop into the now, connecting through the breath with your heart. Now your heart is going to teach you something about your state of psychosomatic wellness. Is the heart pumping fast? Is it even? Is it uneven? What is it teaching you? Just listen for a moment. Now regulate the breath, and you all know that breathing slowly with uneven flow has immediate effects on the blood pressure, on the heart rate, to the mind, and also you all know this. So connect even more with the breath and notice the relationship between your capacity to regulate the breath and the heart. Just see what happens. Is the heart changing? The beating of the heart, is it changing? Can you hear it better? Stay curious and observe. No rush, nowhere to go, nothing to do, just witness yourself. As you inhale and exhale, remember the connection between receiving nutrients. So take a deep, full inhale and receive the nutrients that are in the air, the energy that is in there, all of the substances that are, of course, physiological as well as mental and spiritual. Breathe in, let it all in. And as you exhale, without dropping your posture, keeping your posture erect and healthy, fully offer of yourself outside of you. So inhaling, receiving, rejuvenating energy, and exhaling, sharing of yourself. So it's not just breathing in and breathing out. There's a strong potential in the breath to rejuvenate fast and calm the mind. And then you can listen to the sounds that are just outside of yourself, the sounds that are maybe just outside of your head. Focus on them And when thoughts come up of things you need to do, emails you need to send, things you're planning to do, just calm everything down and come back to listening. Just for a few more minutes, just stay focused on the breath, the heartbeat, and the sounds just outside of your head. And gradually, step by step, the practice will guide us step by step, but for the sake of time, try to include all of the sounds you can perceive, but not grabbing, because the grabbing will make your mind active again. We don't want the mind to be hyperactive. We want it to be aware and relaxed. So listening becomes a very intuitive, receptive action rather than a hyperactive action. So allow the sounds to come to you from the inner environment of your body and the outer environment. Keep your posture relaxed and erect, and relax everything that you're not using. Your eyes, your mouth, your jaw. And then slowly come back to the sounds just around you, and make sure that you're not falling into the temptation to be sleepy. This is an active meditation, an active relaxation. Stay alert. Use the breath to get energy. And then come back to the sound of the breath and the sound of the heartbeat. Your breath is the anchor to stay awake and to receive the energy you will need for the rest of the session, the rest of your day, and so on. And then you can slowly rub your hands together and place the palm of the hand in the dark, velvety space of your palms. And then slowly remove the palms and come back to the Zoom womb. Good. So something we underestimate, which we cannot afford as therapists ever, is to underestimate the power that the breath has to recharge us. We know this. We teach it to our students, we teach it to our clients, we are very good at teaching it, but we often forget. This is exactly like you have your phone and then you charge the phone. Do you know, like when you lose, or not lose, God forbid, when you forget your charger home or in your room, the type of panic you go to, that feeling, you should have the same relationship with your breath. If you only understand this thing out of this whole time we have together, I would be happy, very happy. Your breath is like your phone charger. There's more to it, of course, there's more to it. But this is a basic principle that we all underestimate. So what do? We go to social media, we go to coffee, we go to snacks, and we think that those will help us. Sometimes they do, of course, we need food, we need also comfort, of course, but not at the expense of breath. Never at the expense of breath. Please do not think that you can get from a soda or a coffee what you can get from your own breath. This is absolutely of really super important, okay? All right. So you know, breathing, I'm sure in this type of audience here, you're all aware of this. Yoga therapy can teach us very well how to breathe from the different sections of the lungs and so on. So we'll continue on for this one. In Gitananda Yoga, Swami Gitananda Giri codified a brilliant system of sectional breathing, an actual sectional breathing that is divided into this, as you can see, 3, 6, 9 sections. But overall, and of course this is not the right time now to teach the full Vibhaga Pranayama, which takes many sessions, but you can learn in the adjacent school of yoga therapy just across the hall from you. So please do that if you haven't already. But the reason why this is important is that most of us truly think that we're only inhaling and exhaling, moving the chest up and down. So we lose at least, I would say probably 3/4 of our breathing capacity is lost because we don't know. We actually don't know how to move. The breath is a 360-degree phenomenon. You are a 360-degree therapist. You're not only meeting your client or your patient front, you're meeting them front, side, and back, above and below. So as you breathe in this fashion, you can come in your whole self. Come in with your whole self. So please learn how to breathe properly. Okay?
பண்ணிட்டா கரண்ட் வந்து கரண்ட்டே கேட்டுட்டாலாம் என்ன சொல்றானோ அந்த மாதிரி
There. People's voices. It seems to be very interesting in relationship to this topic. Okay. So before we can be quiet, of course, and listen, we may need to express ourselves. So some of the warm-up exercises would be good also for yourself. When you have pent-up stress, it may be difficult to immediately relax. So always remember that, let's say that you have 3-4 sessions, or you're going from one meeting to teaching a class to finishing a paper, just go to the bathroom, shake your hands, shake your arms, inhale through the nose and let it out. Okay, so we can do this now. Do not send the jati towards me. Just send it up, okay? So shake it all out, shake, 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 shake your head. Then you can inhale. And a couple more times. All of your thoughts, all of your worries, all of the thoughts, all of the worries, all of these are very simple, apparently simple practices that you can do any moment. You have to remember. Okay, so remember, you can do something like this. There's also other ways to express the voice, the hakara kriya, for example, where we use the sound of ha, 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 to let some of that strong pent-up energy release from the diaphragm and the solar plexus. So you can do any of these exercises. The shaking is really good. Like an animal, mammalians shake when they're very happy or when they're scared. So you will see that, for example, a dog, when you feed the dog their favorite flower, like we have a dog here at the Ananda Ashram, who is crazy for flowers. When you feed a flower, he begins to shake fully. It's a perfect demonstration. But you will also see, like, fear will make you shake. Moving from distress to eustress, simply shaking will do magic. Simply shaking from distress to eustress will do really, really good. Now, we have then looked at the first step, listen. You need to listen before you use your voice. You will need to listen before you use your voice as a strategy. Because first, it's important to quiet the inner voices. And the only way you can quiet the inner voices is to listen to them. If you're listening to the voices, then you're able to focus on the breath and calm them down. But if you're not listening to the voices, okay, so if you have these inner voices that you're hearing, the worry, the voice of worry, the voice of jealousy, the voice of attachment, the voice of greed, all of these voices need to be calmed down. The breath, listening to the sound and the feeling of the breath, is it's enough to entrain the voices. To entrain means, you know all, I think, what it means, to bring a vibration that catches another vibration and brings it with it. Generally, we use entrainment from a sound to another sound, or from a type of vibration, for example, in physics, from a type of vibration to another vibration. But the breath itself can entrain the thoughts, is enough to entrain thoughts. In fact, one of the most powerful mantras is the Ajapa Japa Soham. If you listen to that, it's very strong. The sound, the magical, the mystical sound of the breath. It's so accessible that we all forget about it. So you will find so many people, especially in the West, who pay euros and euros and euros to come to India or to go somewhere and ask their guru for their special mantra. There's a whole business in the United States, in Europe, your personal mantra. Everybody's crazy for a personal mantra. The Soham mantra, which is the sound of your breath, is your personal mantra. So once you're listening to the inner voices and you're able to quiet the inner voices, that's where we can bring in a vibration, special vibration, which is the vibration of our own voice. When we are working outside of an esoteric tradition, so when we are working in a secular setting, in a hospital, in a jail, in our community, depending, we can simply talk about humming. It's enough to talk about humming. The sound of the hum is enough. Now, of course, this sound in music, in Sangeeta, or also in mantra yoga, Nada Yoga, we know that these sounds are all of the sounds of the Anuswara. They are the sounds of the Bija mantras, which all culminate in a nasal retroflex sound. It's the sound of the dot and the crescent, right? That sound that comes out of the top of the skull, not a nasal sound, not just It's a very high sound. But sometimes when we work in the ward or when we work with the students, or it's not always possible to share the esoteric quality of the teachings. So most of the research you will find about this talks about humming. So there's books and books on the therapeutical applications of humming. But we know this from all of the sounds are there. Om, Amen, Ahim. Sounds of hum is there. It's there in beautiful words such as Amma, Ambikam, Mam, Amen. All of these are humming sounds, of course. So the research that is carried on at the School of Music Therapy, as well as the School of Yoga Therapy, highlights, and also we learned this from the previous presentations in this faculty meeting program as well. When we add the sound of the voice to music, or when we add the sound of the voice to the breath, in lowering the BP, in lowering, slowing down the heart rate, in calming the mind, adding the voice is always more beneficial. Why? First of all, when we use our voice to sing, it's very difficult to think about something else. You can, but it's difficult. When you add this sounds, the vibration is so strong that it quiets the other vibrations of the mind. So there's, of course, an immediate somato-psychic and psychosomatic relationship there. The sound itself will make it impossible to think about something else. It's almost impossible to think about something else. Okay. Plus, the exhalation of expressed sound is always longer than the inhalation. Because, of course, when we sing, we inhale quickly, and then we exhale and we sing. This is also invoke a mantra. When we chant a prayer, the voice, expressed voice, will be stronger and longer. Okay. So we can practice, and of course here is some of the Nada practices in the Gitananda tradition, the Soham mantra we just talked about, the Pranava Om Pranayama, the Brahmari Pranayama, Bija Sadhana. All of these have longer exhalation counts than inhalations, with immediate effects. Research has shown, this is just a very quick reminder, as you all probably are aware of this, that only 10 minutes of vocal humming and nasal sounds in general stimulate the production of nitric oxide with its benefits here, melatonin with the benefits here, serotonin, dopamine, also lowering the production of cortisol, because a longer exhalation activates the parasympathetic nervous system, limiting the production of cortisol. You know, this research is fortunately now known. Fortunately, it's known. We don't have to prove it anymore. We know this is actually there. So before we practice some humming together, and then I would like to know, what is your experience of humming? What is your experience right now? I also want to talk about the third and final step. So the first one, remember, was become aware of your breath. And remember that the breath is an anchor. So in coaching, we talk about anchors, in psychology too. An object or a song or a movement can become an anchor to remember certain things, to remember a feeling, to bring about a feeling. So in our case, the breath is the anchor to stress management and rejuvenation of energy. So this is number one, and it has to happen first. First is the breath, always. First is the breath. How am I breathing? Wow, let me stop, let me take a breath. Let me check in with my heart. Then listening to the sound of the breath in relationship to the heartbeat. This can take 1-2 minutes, quick, fast, checking in. Then, of course, the sound, using the sound. To calm the mind, you can hum for 1 minute between sessions, between meetings, before a call, before a class, before a conference, and the immediate effect will be there. But there's also this other step, which I want to talk about before we practice the humming, which is the voice of the heart. Staying connected with a purpose. What stress will do, we talked about it at the beginning, what stress will do is that will cause you to lose track of your purpose. Now in yoga, purpose is a big concept, dharma, within which is your swadharma. Which is why I asked you, why are you in this field? And rejuvenate the sankalpa, rejuvenate the purpose. You have to remind yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Because stress, distress in particular, will obfuscate, will create a cloud over the purpose. And will make you feel when you're tired, there's no purpose in this. Why am I doing this? Why am I even in this school? Or why am I even doing this work? Nobody cares, the effects are small, or maybe you go into the ward and you have a bad day. The client or the patient is not responding. You're not able to help them. It's really frustrating sometimes. It's heartbreaking sometimes when you want to help and you can't. Do not lose track of the purpose. So breathe, listen, keep your body erect, listen to the voice, use your voice to connect, but also the internal voice. Try not to stray, write it down. You can write down post-its, like little messages here and there to remind you of why you are here. And the purpose, of course, can change, but it is important. Resist the temptation to devalue yourself. We're having a conversation with Dr. Ananda about devaluing the self. The temptation of some of the enemies of the spirit, some of the kleshas or the ripus that will make you devalue who you are. Or think that your skills are not enough. Your ability is not enough. You're not appreciated enough. Other people don't see your gift. Some of this may be true, but some of it is your own creation. And distress is like a fuel. Distress will come in and fuel the negativity and make you feel like you have no value, you have no purpose. This must be eradicated. It's your choice. You have to do it. Nobody else can do it. And it's not natural. It will not happen naturally unless you renew the commitment. Okay? So as we now complete and we do some humming together, and we'll just talk about humming today. Then if one day, of course, you want to learn more about Nada Yoga, learn more about the spiritual, esoteric teachings of the Parampara, you're welcome to do that as well. Because there's so much more than humming there, of course. But for just now, or even what you can simply do with your patients and clients, just teaching them how to hum. So in humming, the sound goes upwards. So it doesn't go, just a nasal horizontal. Humming comes from the diaphragm because the breath originates here. So as you control the diaphragmatic movement that comes up from the diaphragm through the heart, through the throat, up the tongue, up the nose, and through the skull, the vibration will travel up naturally. The humming is a connection from your physical body all the way to the mental, up, beyond the mental, the wisdom body, and above, the spiritual connection. It's a vertical ascension. This is what humming is. It's a vertical ascension. Allow, on the one hand, all of your worries to drop into the earth. And as your breath and sound rises, remember the connection to something greater and open up to the purpose. This is also why humming is so powerful. It's a body, mind, spirit connection, humming. So let's practice this together. Take a moment again to breathe and relax into yourself. Find the Sukhasthanam into the self. Breathing in, breathing out. Again, remember to listen inside and outside. Resist the temptation to be bored. Sometimes we think we are bored. In fact, we're just stressed. So resist the temptation to feel boredom about breathing and listening. Remember to stay alert and alive in relationship to your breath. Then think about one of the reasons why you're here. Renew the commitment to a purpose. Because you love music, because music has healed your life, because music is your culture, because music is beautiful. Anything, it could be anything. Choose one or two or all of them and refresh them through the breath, refresh them. And then take a deep breath in, and on the out, hum the sound of the hum to the top of the head. We'll hum together for a minute or so. Now Zoom will probably cut my sound. Don't worry, just hum on the out breath as much as you can, then take another big inhale and hum again. We'll do this at least 2 minutes to have some effect. Okay, try to focus on this. Try not to look at your phone and be distracted. This is your chance to help yourself today. So, or one of the chances. So try not to be distracted. Okay, let's try. Exhaling. One more time, deep breath in, humming on a long exhale. Just listen. Just notice what's coming up for you. Good. You can slowly open your eyes. So this is how you're welcome to stay in touch if you like, just in case you're wondering. So we're going to keep this on for a few more minutes. And so, of course, the humming, this is, of course, Brahmari. Of course, it's Brahmari Pranayama. This is at the heart of the rosary singing and chanting, of course. Well, this is at the heart of pranava japa, of course. The answer is of course, of course, of course. There's no separation between these very high spiritual teachings and the practical therapeutic value they have. That's why they are therapeutic, not in spite of. Okay, but it is my experience working, in secular, whatever that means, okay, contexts, again, jails, hospital, community centers, that if I were to use a spiritual term or too much of an esoteric teaching, it's a blessing here in Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, at least I'm experiencing this, that here people are way more receptive because the culture, the ethos of the culture is spiritual. Not necessarily religious, that too, but spiritual. It is clear that the sun is beneficial. It is clear that water is sacred. You don't have to explain it so much, but in other cultures you do, because capitalism has spoiled a little bit that truth. So you will see how much or how little you can offer. But even when you offer little esoteric explanation, even just with humming, the sensation is there. You can just use it. But for yourselves, truly, shaking, connecting to the breath, inhaling, exhaling, humming. We were together for about an hour, but the practice is maybe 5 minutes at the top. So what is the difference? The difference is your intention. The difference is that you need to develop the strength, virya, to remember to do this. It's not gonna come easy. When we run from this to this to this to this, then the stories, oh my God, I'm so tired, oh my God. And the time to care for the self is squeezed out of the day. And if you, one day after another, after another, after another, the therapist will exhaust themselves. And so that's a big problem. Because thanks to your mental and physical health, you can help so many people. As a teacher, as a mother, as a friend, as a daughter, whatever it is the case, you can help so many people. But if you exhaust yourself in the name of your profession, nobody would benefit. So we really, it's very delicate, but I hope this helps a little bit. I would like to know now, maybe I'll just stop sharing for a moment. and to see if there's any comment. And thank you for being patient with the connection. I hope that you use the times of challenge with the connection to breathe, not to stress. Otherwise. So I don't know if there's any question or any comment. I think part of what share is there. So if you have a little extra time, you can practice right away, actually. So let me know if you have any question, if you have any comment or anything, or anything.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta. That was really interesting for me because I learned a lot. I think Dr. Meena has something to say. So, ma'am, unmute.
Yes. Namaste.
Ma'am.
Rock. Thank you so much. Looking forward to having more of you for, at ISCM very soon. And as of questions, maybe you can just try out a small, chant with Nada. If you can just see how it goes, because the others will also be wanting to listen, to how it sounds. The Nada yoga technique, as in Pranava, or as a technique of music therapy. How do you use it? How is it applicable, especially, as a practical aspect? If you can just, throw some light on that, I think I'm sure the students will be really benefited by that. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Meena. I didn't hear the first part of your question. Are you mentioning the Pranava Om?
Pranava Om or the Nada in any other way as a practical tool, especially in music therapy, because we often do that in yoga therapy as a tool, to take it forward to the patients, to anybody, to any participant who wants benefit through the Nada yoga technique. We use Pranava often. So is there anything special as in music medicine, as a therapy in music, where you can apply the Pranava or any other Nada aspect? The practical applicatory aspect is what I just wanted to know.
Yes, I think so. What I shared with you is all Nada. So I just made it very accessible so that the people who do not have a lot of experience with Nada, they realize that they already have the tools to work with Nada. It's just a change in the perspective. So for example, the breath is not just the breath. The breath is also the mantra Soham. And so to become aware that when you're breathing with someone, even helping someone to breathe, to manage pain, helping someone to breathe, to manage in the sense that it's already the awareness of your breath as sound. And I generally go from very, very basic practices that contain all of the teachings. It's very, very interesting. So, because for example, I have found that when I worked in the jail, for example, most of the women inmates didn't know how to breathe. They just were never taught how to breathe properly. I mean, they knew how to breathe, of course, but not properly. And so just asking them to inhale and exhale on simple counts of 6 by 6, and then listening to the sound of the breath was a breakthrough for them, a real breakthrough for them. into understanding Nada. Because, you know, Dr. Meena, what happens is that a lot of times when talking about Nada Yoga, people will want right away to go to the sounds and make sounds. And of course, that's really important. But it is my understanding that the subtlety of, say, the Soham mantra, the Ajapa Japa, or even being aware that sound, that the breath has sound itself, is a very sophisticated practice that opens up a lot of doors for self-awareness and self-healing. So I would say that that already the beginning of a practice. Just teach people how to breathe and help people become aware that their breath has a sound. And that if you want to connect, you can make an audible exhale and just connect to an inaudible inhale. So it's a step-by-step, first listening and then slowly adding a humming. Slowly adding the humming. Now that naturally will become the Pranava Om Pranayama. But so many people are ashamed of their voice. And so if you tell them, okay, we're going to go here and then we're going to practice ah and then oh, first of all, not everyone is able to utter the sounds because of, you know, of their level of uneasiness or whatever they're dealing with, right, in their physical, physiological body. But also there's a lot of unpacking that one needs to do when using the voice. So listening to the breath and going with humming with the mouth closed takes away a lot of stress from singing itself. Now, if the student, the therapist and the patient are able, from humming, the following step is to articulate the sound from guttural to palatal to cerebral to labial and dental and all. And that's where the Pranava Om, as the manifestation of the Sanskrit, also the Tamilian alphabets, can come in. So explaining that ah of the Aum, for example, is the first sound of the alphabet because it is the first guttural vowel. So from there you can go into ah, just making sounds at first without necessarily codifying them like we do in the Pranava Pranayama, that requires the study of the Vibhaga Pranayama, that requires the study of the Soham mantras, just step by step. So bringing in the sounds of ah, helping people just inhaling and exhaling, ah, just ah. And then having fun with the vowels. Ooh, ooh is generally like, ooh, what emotion is ooh in different cultures, and then E. So there can be an articulation of the sounds. Of course, the therapist itself must be comfortable with that. And that's where, in managing stress, one has to really listen to the sounds of one's voice, and then learning how the humming can quiet those voices. From there, the mouth can open. And perhaps there can be a different session, you know, from yoga therapy and music therapy combined, where some of the Nada Yoga practices are shared as a bridge, which you do already, right? They're bridged between the two because they truly are there. But I think in general, you know, some of the techniques of Nada must rely on a firm foundation of the awareness of the breath in the sound of the voice. From there, we can build on to other practices for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta. You know, I just love the way you said it, you know, it's like a sigh of relief.
Yes.
Maybe we need to try more of that, you know.
Yes.
Just to help them to get the stuffed up, you know, emotions.
Yes.
Just get it released.
Yes.
I love that. So thank you. Thanks again.
Namaste, Sangeeta. So wonderful section, and so useful for many people. And of course, you are in yoga. I mean, yoga plus music. So I was just wondering that in your experience, like you have worked with the people also in the jail, and so different categories. So how you feel that when you are working, because sometime in the people, even in the yoga class, just go freely opening mouth like akara ah, that even sometimes they may just open little bit like that only they are going, and people sometimes they feel a little bit shy also just to go like even freely like that. So you had the experience both the side in yoga and music. So whether because people with the background, whether they have the background with the yoga, because people when they are coming like a patient, they don't have any background with the yoga or music. So how you think that it's whether, because even the yoga practices, it's not the same with the each people. It's different. One benefiting maybe differently, and the other benefiting not at all benefiting for them the each practice even. So like that, the music, whether it's even your experience is just equally. I mean, they get the benefit even though the normal people comes who don't have the music background or yoga background, just to know with your experience.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Devasena.
you.
Appreciate it a lot. Yes, so the inner journey, that's why I began with the inner journey, even though it may seem less expressive, because the inner journey of listening to the breath and listening to the humming, I find are always a wonderful beginning step. Because one has to become aware of the pleasant sensation of one's voice inside. Because most people, when you're a very well-renowned and successful singer yourself and composer, you know that when you invite people to make a sound, people will be shy or embarrassed. And why is that? Because we only focus on the performance of the sound. This, of course, if you don't have training in yoga therapy or music and so on. So maybe people listen to themselves recorded, or maybe someone told them when they were younger, shut up, my God, listen to your horrible voice or something. So many people were traumatized in school, right? Teachers, please don't traumatize the children in school. Everybody's voice is divine. It's a gift from the goddess Vak. So there's that aspect, but also to recover a sense of ease, the vibration of one's voice needs to be clear before you try to offer it out. And that's why a lot of times, if you ask people to open their mouth before they have a connection with themselves, you will not be able to. Okay, so the first step is I'm going to feel the vibration of the voice through the humming, for example, inside my bones. Oh, it feels good. It feels good. That's music medicine already. It's like now everybody's going crazy. Gong bath, sound massage, gong and singing bowls. And there's millions of concerts of these things, which is great. But your voice is how you can do it right away. Because your voice, I feel my voice everywhere. That's a sound massage. And of course, I need to overcome the feeling of embarrassment that my voice feels wonderful. People, does your voice feel wonderful? Most people say, oh my God, no. I don't know. Oh, no. You know? So that step has to occur inside the person first, inside the therapist first. If you're not at ease with your voice, the person you're working with also will receive the benefits, but not as much. So that's the first step. Teach people how to be at ease with their voice. After that, you can begin to help them open their mouth in a relaxed fashion. And you also need to teach them that the volume of the voice has nothing to do with the throat. The resonance of the voice and their volume has everything to do with the diaphragm. That's why we inhale and we exhale with the diaphragm, not the throat so much. We don't want people to yell. We want people's voices to be resonant from the inside out. Okay, not just to perform yelling and bringing the voice out like that. Because most people, they will do the opposite. They will just go back introverted. Okay, so if a person, when you're speaking them, you say, okay, say ah, and they go ah, like that. Focus on the diaphragm, not on their voice. Take their worry away from the voice, especially from here. Bring it to the diaphragm. Bring it to the Manipura, to the center of power. That's where the fire of the voice is. That's where the voice originates truly, is there. At the level of the vocal cords, as you know, right, from the Shobillo Saptaswara, here you get the rasana. You don't really get the diaphragm. So the voice, so you have to teach them that is the strength of the diaphragm pushing the air and the intention to make the resonance from the inside out. The resonance is from the inside out, 360 degrees, that their voice will come out. It's a step-by-step teaching like that. But most people will focus here and feel like because they will go like this if they don't have a training, they will go out like this, which is the opposite effect. Because here you have to bring this all back and resonate it fully from the inside out, 360 degrees. That's how we slowly teach it. But then, of course, for music therapists, to come back to also the question of Dr. Mina, of course, the Nada Yoga is a step-by-step process that begins always with self-awareness. But of course, we can sing a song and have people do we can have people say, do sounds that are like laughter, ha, 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 all of the akara kriyas. These are all exercises that we can share. But the quality of the voice is very intimate and requires utter self-love. Self-love means to listen and to let the voice come out with love. And to then invite another person to do that with you with love. One way that you can help the person feel the vibration of the voice with their consent always is to place your hand on their back. And when they make the sound, from the back, never the front, of course, but from the back, just feel their vibration and tell them to feel your hand. Any opportunity that the person has to feel the vibration, not just the sound, the vibration itself is healing, not just the sound. That's something we need to remember. It's the vibration that is healing, because the vibration relaxes the nervous system. That's the really, really important aspect.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, do we have any more questions or thoughts? Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta, for the lovely session and elaborate explanations, and for being patient and explaining things when we had issues with the internet. If anyone has other questions, I think they'll put it up in the chat or in the WhatsApp group, so we can get back to you. Thank you very much, everyone, for today's session. And we will be having the next session on Saturday by Ms. Janita Karen. We'll be talking on use of music. Yes, using music as education. All right. So see you all. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Sorry, just one more thing. Sorry,
Yes.
Professor. I just wanted to say one more thing. That through Ananda Ashram, ICYER, and ICM, there are Nada Yoga trainings available, both online and in person. So, of course, Dr. Nanda is facilitating them. Some of them are with me. So if you would like to learn more, learn some of the techniques, learn, how to practice all of these, you can reach out to us because there are trainings available. Of course, that require quite a bit of time and step-by-step approaches, but the resources are there. So if anyone is interested, please reach out to Dr. Nanda or myself or Devasena here, Yogacharini Devasena. We'll be happy to direct you to YouTube videos, and there's a book coming up. There's already one book published on Nada Yoga, dialogues, intercultural dialogues. So we're happy to support in any way that we can. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta. We'll also add these details by mail to others so they can reach out to you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.